Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the very end of the month of December. Mercury is going to go retrograde. Again, it's upon us. Now remember, Mercury goes retrograde about every 3 to 4 months. It goes retrograde approximately 3 to 4 times a year. That's why it feels like it's always retrograde. And it has huge implications for the world, so I want to prepare you for this. So before I do, I always want to remind everyone to sign up for my free newsletter, get all of my predictions and remembrances of when planets do go retrograde. You will get emailed every single week where the planets are, my predictions. So it's absolutely free. Go to my website, sign up for it, galacticcenter.org. While you're there, check out my new magazine, Joni Patry's Astrology Insights. It's amazing. I'm very proud of it. It's less than $10 a month. You will be so entertained with it. You can subscribe to that from my website. Another thing is my predictions are coming out January 17th, 2-hour workshop with questions following. You will get all of my predictions, be able to talk to me personally, uncensored, no censorship, so we can talk with whatever we want. That is January 17th. Now let's get going and talk about Mercury's retrograde. Now, for the most part, when Mercury goes retrograde, it stays in a particular element for the entire year. And this is so true for the very last hurrah of Mercury, because when it turns retrograde, by the way, the day that it turns retrograde is December 29th. So, be careful going to these New Year's Eve parties and all the celebrations, because things will change. When Mercury changes direction, people change their minds and things change at the last minute. Things are so unnerving and unpredictable when Mercury goes retrograde. Why? Because Mercury rules the way we think. It's the way we communicate. It's the way we connect to people. It's everything to do with the mind, communications, and traveling. So those of you who are traveling for the holidays, let me remind you, when Mercury changes stations, turns retrograde, everything goes haywire. This is holiday travels. Oh my gosh. Work around this, but I'll tell you one thing. Traveling during Mercury retrograde, you just got to be prepared for all the delays. And when you're mentally prepared for something, it's not so bad. When it hits you blindsided, it's upsetting. I tell people, I used to be a flight attendant. There was no way I could avoid flying when Mercury went retrograde. But I always knew the day that it went retrograde. And I remember I would tell all my crew members, today we're going to have major delays and setbacks. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And then when it started happening, they were running, when's it going to be over? When is this going to, it's just, it always doesn't fail. So be aware and be prepared if you're traveling. So here's another interesting thing about this Mercury retrograde. It's going to turn retrograde on the 29th at 0 degrees of Capricorn. So therefore, it's going to be reverting back into Sagittarius. December 31st, it's going to be in Sagittarius, and it's going to stay in Sagittarius till it turns direct January 17th. It will still be in Sagittarius. As a matter of fact, it's going to be in Sagittarius from around the 31st of December, so New Year's Eve, till February 7th, that it will be in Sagittarius. So in other words, here's what I'm trying to tell you. The whole year of 2022, Mercury, each time it went retrograde, it was in an earth sign. The first time it was in Capricorn, probably around January, February of last year. The second time it was in Virgo, it's somewhere around August, September. And then it was retrograde. It's going to be retrograde this very last time in Capricorn, but 0 degrees, because beginning in 2023, now remember the Capricorn, the earth signs dealt with money, finances, the ups and downs, unsettlement of the economy. That's what earth signs are all about. Work, job, government, all of those things is what the earth signs are about. But the fire signs. So in 2023, as I noted, Mercury is going to be retrograde, but it's going to be spanning the sign of Sagittarius as it reverts backwards. And so therefore, what you're going to find with these next few Mercury retrogrades are going to again be in fire signs. So the next time it'll be in Aries when it goes retrograde, and the last time, well, not the last time, but in the summer when Mercury goes into Leo, it will be retrograde. So it's going to span the fire signs, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. What does that mean for us? That Mercury in 2023 is going to be in fire signs. It means inspiration. It means movement. It means direction. It means fiery attitudes. So let me go back and talk about this Mercury retrograde as it is spanning in Sagittarius during this retrograde period. It's just going to be in Capricorn for a day or two, but so it's really going to be in Sagittarius, but it's moving backwards back through the sign of Sag. It's going to station, Mercury is going to turn direct. For those of you that like to put that on your calendar, I think it's a very smart thing to do. It's going to be January 17th. So it turns retrograde around December 29th, and it will turn direct on January 17th, around 14 degrees of Sagittarius. So it will continue to be in Sagittarius from January 17th till February 7th. February 7th, it'll be transiting normally again through Capricorn. But while it's retrograde, remember retrogrades bring things up. They always bring things up from the past that we need to be reminded of. We need to review, reassess, reevaluate, review, to really go back and figure what we can do to improve it. Now remember, retrogrades are the ebb and flow of the tide. So it's like things move forward, but things pull back. It's not like it's a terrible thing to be retrograde, because that just simply means it's a time for you to reassess things, review, reflect. And when you do, you will really save room for error, where you don't make the mistakes that most people make, because they're always trying to forge through and get things done fast and furious. And when you do that with Mercury retrograde, you're gonna have problems, because you're gonna find there's major hiccups in what you're doing. But since nobody can stop life when Mercury's retrograde, it's just remember that things are going to be intense and go haywire, because it rules our mind. So we become more forgetful. We get locked out of our house. We leave our keys in the car. We do absent-minded type things. And traveling is a hassle. And anything to do with what? The way that we connect with each other is going to go haywire. What is that? Computers, phones, probably you've lost your phone more often when Mercury is retrograde. But you know something I've discovered that's a little secret that is actually going, I'll tell you this, it's not a secret anymore, but I have a new book that's coming out really soon, and it's called My Secrets. In there, let me give you a secret that I've discovered about Mercury retrograde. It's fascinating. When you lose something when Mercury's retrograde, most of the time you'll get it back. So it's usually because when Mercury changes directions, then we are able to see things a lot clearer when it's moving forward rather than when it's going backwards. So that's where all the absent-minded things happen. But actually, it is the days that it turns direct or retrograde. So therefore, I'm talking around December 29th and January 17th, that everything kind of goes crazy, because it changes from a different motion. And therefore, people change their minds. So contracts and agreements, people may try to get out of or change their opinion. Maybe, buyer's remorse about certain things. Recognize that that is what Mercury retrograde is usually about, changing directions, changing our thoughts and how we think. And with it being in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is the sign of justice. What we're going to find during this Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius, so many things from the past that were not just or fair will return to find justice and peace and balance. Because, well, let me say Sagittarius isn't the most agreeable sign sometimes. It is the sign of truth. It is the sign of justice, of judgment, of laws. But let me just say, that sign Sagittarius can be the most opinionated. It truly is. They want everyone to believe like they believe, and they want justice at all cost. So you're going to find so much justice. Maybe that's the turn of the governments and things that change, and justice will prevail. The things that were not atoned to before with justice will have to come out and be served. That's what's going to happen. And this is, of course, governments around the world, that there's justice and truth. The truth will come out. Now, whether people believe it or not is up to them. But in so many areas, there's so much truth. And there is this need for justice and just so much opinion about people's belief. Will be battling their opinions and their feelings of justice and the law. This will be brought back so many things. And I think we can think of a million things when we think about the politics that have been going on lately, where there's going to be justice served and people are going to be fighting for what they believe is right. Righteousness, that's the word I was really trying to think of. People will be so righteous in their opinions, in their ways, and that they want things to be righted or bring peace, balance, whatever. It's going to be kind of nasty because fire signs, they don't let up and they don't give up. But the beautiful thing about fire is the inspiration. So use this time to really come to a place of deep inspiration for what? Your truths, your spirituality. Remember, Sagittarius is the sign that's relative to the 9th house. It's the 9th sign. So therefore, use this time to review, get more in touch with your spiritual purpose, what your beliefs are all about, that gives you a commitment to your life to make it all happen and manifest in a beautiful way for what? The new year. We all make our New Year's resolutions. It's going to be a Mercury retrograde during this time. That's kind of funny to me. So you may change your mind about your resolutions, but it is a time to reflect and go deep about your spirituality. That should be your resolution for this year, to get more in touch with your truth, your soul, and your spirit, and become more spiritual this year. For the year of 2023, as Mercury is standing still in the sign of Sagittarius. Let's get going with that. So with that, I'd like to close. I hope you enjoyed this segment on Mercury retrograde and the fire signs it's going to be transiting in for 2023. And remember, if you want to study astrology with me, go to my university website, which is University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.